Welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of R&A's Deep Dive.
This season, we're going to try something different. WE are going to switch our focus to pop culture.
Welcome to the world of One Piece.
Yes.
And, usually when we look at a beautiful coral reef, we just see a vibrant ecosystem. Fish darting around, sunlight filtering through the crystal clear water.
It's gorgeous. It's totally breathtaking.
It is, but it's also entirely surface level.
Yeah.
Like if you dive a little deeper past those bright colors, you suddenly realize that this entire whimsical reef is actually growing on the rusted, skeletal wreckage of a sunken, apocalyptic world.
Yeah, the vibrant life is really just, a thin veneer over a massive catastrophic history.
Exactly, and it completely shatters the illusion.
Oh, absolutely. You can never look at the bright coral the same way again once you know what's buried underneath it. And, that is exactly what we are doing for you today in this deep dive.
Pulling back the veneer.
Right. Our mission, acting as original investigators of this massive narrative, is to completely recontextualize what is widely considered this whimsical, fun-loving pirate adventure.
Because if you only look at the surface, you just see a fun, rubbery pirate punching bad guys on sunny islands.
Yeah, it just looks like Saturday morning cartoons.
But our research reveals something entirely different. Beneath that cartoonish surface lies an unbelievably dark, highly complex, post-apocalyptic sci-fi survival epic.
And it all takes place on a drowned planet.
Completely drowned planet.
Which is wild. And here's why you, listening with us right now, should care about this. Whether you are deeply entrenched in the thousands of hours of lore or you just appreciate an absolute masterclass in long-term storytelling, we're going to demonstrate something incredible.
We're going to connect the dots.
Exactly. We are going to show how connecting thousands of fragmented historical clues that have been hidden in plain sight across decades of narrative, can completely shatter and rebuild the reality of an entire fictional universe.
It's basically tracing a chronological history that has this massive deliberate gap right in the middle of it.
The void century.
Right. But to understand a post-apocalyptic ocean world, we actually can't start by looking at the oceans. We have to look up at the stars.
Which just sounds so counterintuitive for a pirate story.
I know. But we have to look far beyond the age of dinosaurs that we still see preserved on prehistoric islands, like Little Garden. We literally have to start on the moon.
Which completely reorients the scale of this whole universe. I mean, the true spark of civilization didn't even originate on the blue planet.
No, it didn't.
The historical records, the ancient wall paintings, the ruins we've analyzed, they all point to extraterrestrial origins.
Yeah, over 1,000 years ago, a highly advanced civilization actually thrived on the moon, up in a lunar city called Birka.
Birka, right.
And let's be clear about the technical framework here. We aren't talking about, early agriculture or bronze tools.
No, not at all.
We are talking about the absolute zenith of technological achievement. They had fully functioning autonomous robotics.
The automata.
Exactly. And these mechanical beings, these automata, weren't just wind-up toys. They had complex AI, they had emotions, and full military capabilities. Plus, they possessed sprawling, highly complex electrical systems on the moon. Over a millennium ago.
It's staggering. And you have to consider the sociological implications of a society living in a dome or a closed system like a lunar city.
Right, because there are limits.
Exactly. When you engineer at a level that is almost unfathomable, you require a massive, staggering amount of energy. The automata, the atmospheric controls, the city infrastructures, they all demand power.
Yeah, lots of it.
And as with all hyper-advanced societies confined to a limited environment, they hit a wall.
A physical geological wall. Resource depletion.
Yeah.
They literally mine the moon dry. They reach the absolute physical limits of their environment.
Which is terrifying when you think about it.
Oh, it's completely desperate. Driven by this total resource collapse, they had to abandon Birka.
Yeah.
They looked down at the blue planet, packed up their hyper-advanced technology, and just migrated.
And the systems implications of this migration are really the foundation of everything that goes wrong and right in this world.
How so?
Well, these lunar descendants didn't just land as conquerors setting up a colonial outpost, They integrated.
Right, they blended in. And biologically, these descendants, specifically the Lunarians, were just incredible.
Oh, their biology is fascinating.
If you look at their physiological markers, they have dark wings, the ability to survive in literally any extreme environment, and a biology that naturally manipulates and generates fire.
Which is huge.
Yeah. That isn't just a cool aesthetic trait. That is a biological energy source.
Right. And through their integration with the planet's existing populations, they spearheaded the foundation of what historical texts refer to as the Great
A
Kingdom.
great kingdom, yeah.
And to truly conceptualize the Great Kingdom, you have to completely erase the map of the world as we know it today.
The geography was totally different.
Entirely different. 1,000 years ago, the planet looked a lot like Earth's ancient supercontinent, Pangaea. Just these massive, interconnected landmasses.
And sitting at the very top of the world, crowning this global society, was a massive red soil continent called the Red Line.
Right.
And this great kingdom wasn't just geographically connected, it was sociologically revolutionary.
It really was. It was an interconnected, egalitarian global society. You had humans, giants, fishmen, minks, all these incredibly diverse races just coexisting.
And they possessed something that literally changes the fabric of reality: infinite energy.
Which is the holy grail of any civilization.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our analysis suggests this infinite energy was heavily tied to the Lunarians' biology, mixed with their advanced lunar technology.
Like a solar or fire-based synthesis.
Exactly. Something that yielded a zero-point energy equivalent.
And when a society no longer has to fight over coal or oil or food, the entire basis for warfare and hierarchy just evaporates.
It does. They use this limitless power source to build things that defy modern logic. We are talking about colossal 900-year-old mechs.
The Iron Giant.
Yeah, the Iron Giant, a machine that absolutely dwarfs modern warships. But here's the paradox, my co-host. I actually call this the Empire Paradox.
Okay, let's hear the paradox.
It's the major mechanical flaw in the history we are presented with. If the Great Kingdom possessed an infinite, limitless energy source, and they used it to power invincible, colossal robotics that could wipe out fleets, and they had a globally united, cooperative society made of multiple hyper-strong races.
Yeah, I see where you're going with this.
How on earth could a civilization with absolute technological and resource supremacy ever be defeated?
It's a great question.
If you look at the logistics, if you look at the military specs, it makes absolutely no sense on paper.
It seems impossible from a purely military standpoint. I completely agree. But the answer lies in understanding what infinite energy actually does to a world whose power structures rely entirely on scarcity.
Scarcity, right.
Because outside the borders of the Great Kingdom, the rest of the world was living in what historical texts call the era of slaves. This is roughly 900 years ago.
The era of slaves. Just the name alone dictates the economic engine of those societies.
Exactly. Outside this egalitarian utopia, there were 20 human kings, the allied powers.
The 20 kings.
Right, and these 20 kings amassed their wealth, their armies, and their power by actively subjugating the global population. They were tyrants operating on the classic model of oppression.
Hoard the resources, starve the masses.
Yeah. Hoard the resources, demand obedience for survival.
So when these 20 kings look over at the Great Kingdom, they aren't just seeing a wealthy neighbor.
No, they are seeing an existential virus.
Wow, an existential virus.
The 20 kings didn't fear the Great Kingdom's iron giants or their futuristic weapons. They were existentially terrified of their progressive ideals.
Because of the sociology of control.
Exactly. Think about it. If everyone in the world has access to infinite energy and everyone is treated with absolute equality, tyrants lose the very leverage they use to rule.
Because if you can't monopolize the grain or the fuel or the heat, you literally can't force people to bow to you in exchange for survival.
Precisely. The very concept of the Great Kingdom would eventually dismantle the 20 kings' empires from the inside out.
Just through cultural osmosis.
Right. It was an ideological threat of the highest order. The 20 kings realized that if the Great Kingdom's way of life spread, the era of kings would be over forever.
They would be obsolete.
And the vanguard of this ideological threat was a specific enigmatic group deeply woven into the Great Kingdom, a group known as the D-Clan.
Oh, the D-Clan. Let's clarify the technical framework of the Will of D, because it's so important. We see the initial D in giants. We see it in humans.
It crosses biological lines.
It totally crosses biological lines. So we know it is not just a straightforward genetic bloodline.
Yeah, it's something deeper.
It is an encoded generational ideological stubbornness. The D-Clan are literally described as the natural enemies of the self-appointed gods of the world.
Right. They carry the Great Kingdom's core ideology. It's this uncompromising, burning desire for absolute freedom.
almost like a cultural epigenetic memory.
Exactly, a memory that refuses to die, passing down an instinctive rejection of tyranny from generation to generation.
And that uncompromising desire for freedom collided head-on with the 20 Kings' desperate need for control.
The unstoppable force meets the immovable object.
Right, which sparked the outbreak of an apocalyptic planet-wide war.
A war so devastating, so completely world-breaking, that the victors would later erase it entirely from the historical record.
Which gives us the Void Century, that 100-year blank spot occurring between 900 to 800 years ago.
Right. And consider what happens to the human psyche during a war of that magnitude.
Yeah.
I mean, amidst the unimaginable horrors of this massive century-long conflict, the subjugated people, the slaves, under the 20 kings, were pushed to the absolute brink of despair.
Just total hopelessness.
But out of that profound suffering, they did something miraculous.
They dreamed up a savior.
Yes. They dreamed up the sun god Nika.
Nika.
And Nika is described in ancient texts as a whimsical, comic book-like, rubbery warrior of liberation.
A figure who fought with unbound freedom, bouncing around the battlefield.
Exactly. And crucially, putting smiles on the faces of people who were trapped in unimaginable agony.
So a literal cartoon superhero manifested from the minds of slaves.
The philosophical weight of this is staggering, isn't it?
It really is.
The desperate prayers of the enslaved generated so much collective psychic weight that it manifested this ridiculous, cartoonish savior into physical reality.
Okay, wait, I have to push back here, partner. Because leaning purely into the magic of dreams theory ignores the hard science this universe has painstakingly established.
Fair point. You're looking at the tech framework.
Always.
Yep.
If we look at the technological framework, specifically through the lens of Dr. Vegapunk's lineage factor research, we know that lineage factors are the biological building blocks. They are the DNA of this universe.
We do. Vegapunk has heavily documented this.
Right. And Vegapunk has proven that modern science can actually manipulate lineage factors. We see Caesar Clown creating the artificial smile fruits.
Yeah, the artificial animal traits.
Exactly. And we see Vegapunk himself creating a perfectly functional mythical dragon fruit just by synthesizing DNA.
Which is a massive scientific breakthrough.
Right. So if modern science can bioengineer these powers, we have to look back at the Great Kingdom, a civilization 1,000 years ahead of Vegapunk.
Oh, I see where you're going.
I propose a terrifyingly logical alternative. Devil fruits are not just magic wishes spawned by psychic energy. They are a desperate biotech failsafe.
Oh, wow. A failsafe for a civilization realizing it was losing a war of annihilation.
Yes. Think about it. The Great Kingdom scientists looked at the battlefield and realized that 20 kings were actually going to wipe them out.
They saw the end coming.
They did.
Yeah.
So they took the collective dreams of their people, the desire for a rubbery sun god, the technological marvels they built, the environmental adaptations of different species, and they encoded that entire civilization's hopes into the planet's self-replicating ecosystem.
By bioengineering the fruits of the earth.
Exactly. They engineered the fruits to alter human lineage factors upon consumption.
So that even if every single citizen of the Great Kingdom was slaughtered, their ideals, their technology, and their powers would literally grow back from the soil centuries later.
It is the ultimate backup drive for a dying society.
That is brilliant.
And under this framework, we really have to clarify something vital. Joy Boy was not a given name.
No.
It was a title. It was the title earned by the very first person during the Void Century to eat that newly manifested, bioengineered Nika fruit.
They became the first Joy Boy.
Exactly.
And this totally reframes modern-day powers. When Luffy awakens Gear 5, the forced cartoonishness isn't just a stylistic choice, it's the whole point.
It's the core function of the fruit.
Right. The power is the literal imagination of people trying to force a smile through pain, hard-coded into a biological fruit.
But even with a bioengineered god of liberation, even with infinite energy and the indomitable will of D, the Great Kingdom still lost.
They did. The 20 kings won, and the method they used to win permanently broke the physical geography of the planet.
Which brings us to the cataclysm.
Right. And to understand the cataclysm, we must look at the supreme sovereign of the 20 kings, an entity known as Imu.
Imu. And Imu didn't win this war with conventional infantry. Imu used an ancient sky weapon called Uranus.
A weapon of mass destruction.
Exactly. And let's talk about the physics of the cataclysm, because it is mind-bending. Firing a sky weapon of that magnitude doesn't just level a city.
No, it goes way beyond that.
It obliterates massive land masses. It literally vaporizes continents down to the mantle.
And when you suddenly create a massive void in the Earth's crust where a whole continent used to be, the surrounding oceans have to rush in to fill that void.
The displacement of water is catastrophic. Firing Uranus caused a 200-meter global sea level rise.
200 meters.
Let's put that in perspective for you listening. 200 meters is the height of a 60-story skyscraper.
It's unfathomable.
Imagine standing on a beach, looking up at a towering office building, and within days or even hours, the water level is at the roof.
It is a global flood of biblical proportions. Billions of lives were extinguished. The entire egalitarian society of the Great Kingdom was just swallowed by the sea.
Gone. And the visual archaeological evidence proving this is hidden in plain sight across the entire series.
Right. The islands.
The islands that pirates sail between today aren't islands at all. They are just the mountaintops of submerged continents.
It changes how you see the entire map.
Look at Wano. The Wano we see today is built high up on the side of a massive mountain.
Yeah.
But deep underwater, sitting in the dark depths at the base of that mountain, are the perfectly preserved ancient ruins of Old Wano.
The world they live in is a literal graveyard.
Exactly.
And you have to look at the terraforming that happened in the immediate aftermath of this flood. The world wasn't just left to drown.
Right, they had to react.
It was actively reorganized by the victors and the desperate survivors. We have historical records of ancient giants like Ors, who was literally known as the continent puller.
A being so massive they can physically drag remaining land masses together.
Exactly. The survivors were frantically dragging land together, desperately trying to salvage livable space above the rising tides.
Trying to piece the world back together.
And massive rock walls were built, like the impenetrable borders around Wano.
Right. Those walls weren't originally built for political isolation.
No.
They were built to hold back the encroaching floodwaters of the cataclysm.
Which completely shifts our understanding of the sea itself. If we look at the supreme sovereign, Imu, there is a terrifying linguistic and thematic reality to explore here.
Oh, the anagram.
Yes. Imu is an anagram for Umi, which translates to sea, or Mother Nature.
Which answers one of the oldest, most fundamental mechanics of the entire series.
It really does.
Why do devil fruit users sink like anchors? Why do they lose all their energy in seawater?
It's not just a quirky, magical drawback.
No, it is systemic rejection.
Exactly. If Imu represents the sea, and Imu is the victor who drowned the world, then the ocean is a hostile victor.
A hostile entity.
It intentionally rejects and sinks devil fruit users because the ocean is acting as the oppressive force of Imu. It's actively suppressing the bioengineered dreams and the biotech failsafes of the Great Kingdom.
The planet's environment has literally been weaponized against liberation.
It's chilling. So put yourself in the First Story Boy's shoes for a second. You have watched your allies die. You have watched your continent get vaporized. The enemy has intentionally drowned the world and erected massive geographical barriers to keep the surviving populations isolated on these tiny mountaintops.
You're totally boxed in.
Right. You can't fight back against that by building a better pirate ship.
Right.
A ship won't fix a broken planet.
No, it won't. You need a way to literally reshape the planet.
Exactly.
And this is where we have to completely deconstruct the propaganda surrounding the ancient weapons.
The world government has spent 800 years terrified of these weapons.
Right, framing them to the public as tools of unparalleled, senseless mass destruction. But they are not planet killers.
No, they're not.
They are massive industrial terraforming tools meant to reverse the flood.
This is such a crucial recontextualization. Let's detail the specs of these tools because their functions are incredibly specific.
Sure. First, we have Poseidon.
Right. And Poseidon isn't a bomb or a laser. It is a biological inheritance. Specifically, it manifests in a mermaid princess who is born with the ability to command colossal, mountain-sized sea kings.
Massive beasts. Then there's Pluton. Pluton is a colossal battleship, a vessel of unimaginable mechanical power.
Currently hidden deep beneath the underwater walls of Wano.
Exactly. And its primary function isn't just naval warfare. It is capable of blasting apart the massive Red Line continent.
And finally, Uranus, the sky weapon. The very tool that Imu stole and used to cause the flood in the first place.
So if you look at these three things, a biological commander of giant sea beasts, an earth-shattering mechanical vessel, and an atmospheric sky weapon, you start to see Joy Boy's grand plan.
It's a planetary vault.
Yes. And like any high-security vault, it required multiple keys to be turned at the exact same time. It required the exact millisecond synchronization of multiple biological and mechanical mechanisms.
The logistics of this mechanism are just a masterpiece.
Let's walk through it.
First, Poseidon uses her biological ability to command the massive sea kings. Their job is to bite down on the chains of the colossal Ark Noah, a ship half the size of an island, and pull it.
Pulling it to the surface.
Right, bringing the fishmen and the submerged races safely to the surface.
So the people are evacuated. Simultaneously, the giant elephant Zoonatia, a creature so impossibly tall it walks on the ocean floor, is waiting for a specific signal.
The drums of liberation.
Exactly. The heartbeat of an awakened Nika fruit user. Once Zoonatia hears that biological ping, it helps physically tear open the massive rock walls of Wano.
And when Wano's walls fall, Pluton is unleashed.
Yes, Pluton sails out and executes its prime directive, destroying the Red Line continent.
But 800 years ago, this planetary vault failed to open.
It did. It was a catastrophic failure of timing.
The keys just didn't align. The most likely scenario is that the mermaid princess who held the power of Poseidon died before the plan could be executed.
And without Poseidon, you can't move the Ark Noah.
Right. And without Noah, blowing up the Red Line and changing the sea levels would result in mass casualties for the fishmen and anyone else trapped underwater.
A secondary genocide.
Exactly. Joy Boy had to abort the terraforming plan to prevent wiping out his own allies.
And we know the emotional toll this took on him. He literally carved an apology letter onto an indestructible stone block down on Fishman Island.
Begging for their forgiveness.
Yeah, apologizing for failing to bring them to the sun. He knew he couldn't do it in his lifetime.
But the ultimate goal remained intact for the future.
Destroy the Red Line, drain the artificial floodwaters, and unite the fragmented oceans into one massive connected sea.
The All Blue.
The All Blue, a singular peaceful ocean where all life can coexist without massive rock walls dividing them.
But having failed, Joy Boy faced an absolute logistical nightmare.
How so?
Well, think about it. How do you pass highly technical terraforming blueprints 800 years into the future while the victorious tyrannical world government is actively hunting down and erasing every trace of your existence?
You can't just write it on a piece of paper. The world government would just burn it.
Exactly. You need a backup hard drive that is immune to fire, immune to explosives, immune to time.
Which introduces the information war and the crucial role of the poneglyphs.
The poneglyphs are indestructible stone blocks. They were carved by the master stonemasons of Wano's Kazuki clan, who were allies of the Great Kingdom.
Right.
They carved the true history, the locations of the ancient terraforming tools, and Joy Boy's blueprints directly into these stones.
And look at the extreme, almost pathological brutality of the world government's cover-up in response to these stones.
It is horrifying.
They didn't just ban the study of history, they criminalized the very act of reading the ancient language.
Punishable by death.
Exactly. We see the horrific peak of this brutality 22 years ago with the Buster Call on the island of Ohara.
Ohara was an island of scholars, historians who were simply trying to read the poneglyphs to understand the past.
Innocent academics.
Right. And the world government annihilated the entire island just to keep the flood a secret.
But you have to highlight the heroism of Jaguar D. Saul during that massacre.
Oh, absolutely.
As the island burned, Saul physically waded into a freezing lake, carrying the massive books from O'Hara's library to protect them from the fire.
Which is such a powerful image.
It proves that you can burn an island to bedrock, but you cannot burn an idea.
So true. But the ultimate wild card in this 800-year cover-up isn't just the scholars, it is Queen Nefertari Lily.
Queen Lily. Let's analyze Lily's role.
Because she completely sabotaged the 20 Kings' victory. She was one of the founding monarchs. But when the dust settled and the other 19 kings ascended to the top of the Red Line to live as celestial dragons, pledging their weapons to the empty throne,
She refused.
She refused. She refused to become a false god above the clouds, and instead, she scattered the poneglyphs across the globe.
Oh, she scattered the hard drives.
Exactly. She took the indestructible backup drives of the Great Kingdom and threw them into the wind, ensuring that Joy Boy's message and the terraforming blueprints would survive.
Wow. And Emu's retaliation was swift and absolute. Emu created the Void Century, erasing 100 years of global memory.
Just wiped it out.
And then secretly took the empty throne. The throne that was supposedly there to represent that no single tyrant ruled the world.
Yeah, what a lie.
Emu sat on it, hidden in the shadows, maintaining an artificial dark age through sheer unyielding brutality.
But an 800-year embargo on the truth is still just a dam holding back water.
And it cracked.
It cracked spectacularly 24 years ago when one man followed Lily's scattered stones all the way to the final island. Goldie Roger. Roger's gamble is really the catalyst for the modern climax of our story. He navigated the treacherous oceans, found the specific coordinate poneglyphs, and reached Laugh-Tale.
The final island.
Right. And he learned everything. The history of the Great Kingdom, the truth of the 200-meter flood, the encoded will of the D-Clan, and Joy Boy's massive terraforming plan.
All those secrets.
All of it. And after learning all of this profound, world-shattering truth, he just laughs.
He laughs until he cries. And to understand why, you really have to analyze the very phrase, one piece.
The name of the treasure.
Right. In the original Japanese, it's Hidotsunagi no Dahihu. It means one physical treasure, but it also translates to that which connects people.
Which is beautiful.
But most crucially, it can be read as one sea at peace.
One sea at peace. The treasure isn't a pile of gold. It is the mechanical blueprint to unite the oceans.
Exactly. Look at the famous sea shanty, Bink's Sake. It is a secret historical blueprint hidden in a drinking song.
Oh, the lyrics are so specific.
They are. The lyrics talk about splitting the seas, which is the mechanical destruction of the Red Line using Pluton. It talks about bringing the morning sun, the dawn of the new world after the flood is reversed.
So imagine Roger's perspective. He reaches the end of the world, and Joy Boy's physical treasure might literally be an 800-year-old barrel of booze waiting there for a massive world-uniting party once the terraforming is complete.
It's a comic strip ending to a horrific war.
It totally is.
But there's a tragic irony here, partner.
Because Roger had the blueprint. He had the crew. He knew the truth. So why didn't he just blow up the Red Line and save the world?
Right. Why not?
Because the biological key wasn't ready. Shirahoshi, the mermaid princess who would inherit the power of Poseidon, wasn't even born yet.
And Roger was dying. He had a terminal illness.
Yeah, his time was up.
He knew he would not live long enough to see the keys of the planetary vault synchronize. He was too early.
So he made a gamble.
A massive gamble. He surrendered to the Marines. He allowed himself to be publicly executed. But he used that execution platform as the greatest global marketing campaign in history.
He ignited the Great Pirate Era.
Yes.
He couldn't finish the terraforming himself, so he sent millions of ambitious, desperate people out into the oceans. He knew that mathematically, eventually, a new inheritor of the D-Clan would rise up, awaken the Nika fruit, and finish the job.
Which brings us to the modern climax, because the dominoes are falling fast today.
They really are.
Luffy has officially awakened the Nika fruit. The biotech failsafe from 800 years ago has finally been triggered. The cartoonish sun god is back on the battlefield.
But the world government is escalating in response. Emu has acquired the Mother Flame.
Vegapunk's invention.
Right. This is a tiny sliver of infinite energy synthesized by Vegapunk's modern research, and Emu weaponizes it. They use the Mother Flame to power the ancient sky weapon, Uranus, and completely wipe out the Lelouch kingdom.
Just erases it.
Yeah.
And vaporizing an island creates a void in the crust. By destroying Lelouch, Emu caused global sea levels to rise by another full meter.
Which is terrifying.
The Void Century War never ended. They are still actively drowning the planet to maintain control.
But Vegapunk, in his dying moments, broadcasted a message to the entire world, revealing the reality of the 200-meter flood to the global public.
The secret is out.
The world now knows they were living on borrowed time on sinking mountaintops.
And because of this, the pieces of Joy Boy's planetary vault are actively moving into position. Wano is preparing to blast its massive defensive walls open to unleash the battleship Pluton.
Right.
Fishman Island is preparing to physically migrate to the surface. And Dragon's revolutionary army is actively starving the celestial dragons by besieging the food supplies to Mary Joyce.
The dawn of the world is imminent. But as we look at the breathtaking scope of this narrative, we really must confront the terrifying cost of this long-awaited liberation.
There is a heavy cost.
We want to leave you with a final, unsettling dilemma.
To enact Joy Boy's plan and bring the dawn of the world, the battleship Pluton must completely obliterate the massive Red Line continent.
It has to be destroyed.
That is the only way to drain the floodwaters, balance the sea levels, and unite the four oceans into the all-blue.
However, Mary Joyce, the capital of the world government, sits directly on top of the Red Line.
Right on top of it.
And it isn't just populated by the evil celestial dragons. There are millions of innocent slaves, servants, and civilian workers inhabiting that immense landmass.
Millions of people.
If you shatter the continent beneath their feet, you shatter them.
Does the salvation of the drowned world require the absolute destruction of the people living at the top? Is the ultimate treasure of liberation, this beautiful dream of a connected, peaceful sea, actually a trigger for a second mass extinction event?
Thank you for joining us on this look at the drowned world of One Piece.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.